Attention around the globe is turning to Qatar as it prepares to host the first football World Cup to be held in the Middle East. More than 1 million fans from across the world are expected to be in Qatar. The close proximity of its 8 World Cup stadiums means fans will be able to watch more than one game a day. But organizers have faced accusations of breaches of human rights since Qatar was first announced as the host country 12 years ago. Organizers insist those claims are unfair. I'm Sana Hamouche in Doha. We'll ask if that criticism is justified as the CEO of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022, Nasser al-Khater, talks to Al Jazeera. Nasser al-Khater, FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 CEO, thank you very much for talking to Al Jazeera. First of all, it's been a year since we spoke, and a lot of things have been put into this World Cup. What's still keeping you awake at night?
Sana, I don't think it's one thing that's keeping me awake at night, but with 30 days to go, it's 12 years of hard work that the country's been working towards this moment. Things are coming, to a final stage. We're working on the finishing touches. We're putting the icing on the cake, and we just want it to be perfect. A lot of plans have gone into, building the stadiums, all the operational plans, but the icing on the cake is what really fans are going to see and they're going to experience, and this is what we want to make sure we get right.
What are the fine-tunings?
The fine-tunings operationally, we've done a lot over the past several years, hosting several events, the FIFA Club World Cup in 2019, FIFA Club World Cup the following year, the FIFA Arab Cup in 2021, which was our biggest and main test event. These events really help you fine-tune your operational plans. And right now we're working on the fan experience. So all the entertainment that will go around in the city, all the different events that are taking place here in Qatar, we want to make sure that these are right, because fans are going to come here, and they're going to watch football, and they're going to enjoy the football. But then they're going to find that there's a lot to do also outside the stadiums around the city, and we want to make sure that there's something for every kind of fan.
Is the country ready to host more than 1 million fans?
Absolutely. We've just put in 30,000 additional rooms into the accommodation portal right now. There's been very, very high demand on rooms. And all the operational plans that relate to transportation, logistics is going to be one of the main things that the transportation logistics are some of the main challenges that people always talk about here. We're confident of our plans when it comes to transport. We know that fans are going to find it easy getting from point A to point B. We've been working very hard with our partners in National Transportation Company, with all the private sector that will be providing transportation services. And we're confident of our plans, and we're confident that fans will be able to get around quite easily.
Speaking about fans getting around easily, the whole bid about this World Cup was it about being a compact World Cup? Is it, and they said that the fans will be able to watch more than one match a day. Is that really possible?
Absolutely, that is possible. I mean, to be practical about it, you can, if let's say you watch game 1, which is at 1 p.m., you can go to game 3. Or you can go to game 4. And if you watch game 2, you can go to game 4. So as long as there's a gap of one match between the matches that you watch, it's absolutely doable.
Let's go back to the workers' issue. Has the process of reform in workers' rights been accelerated by the World Cup?
Absolutely. If we go back to 2009 when we bid for the World Cup, you will see that our bid contained a lot about social change. It contained a lot about human capital. And we took that from the national vision that was issued in 2008. And that really focused on improving the standards for workers here in Qatar. And that related also to the workplace in general, to improve the environment at the workplace. When we speak about workers, it was to improve their living standards, to make sure that their rights were upheld. And I think we've gone over and above what was envisaged to happen in a span of 10 years. I don't think any country can claim to have done as much as Qatar has done in the past 10 years to improve the working conditions, living standards, the introduction of minimum wage, to make sure that there's workers' forums where they can voice their concerns and their complaints in a safe and anonymous way. And these are all reforms that we feel proud of. Qatar has been a trailblazer in the region and has been recognized by international organizations that we work with, that the government works with, such as the ILO and so forth.
So do you still think the criticism that Qatar is facing regarding this issue is unfair?
I believe a lot of the criticism is unjust. I feel like, people have used this as a way just to be able to bring Qatar into disrepute, and I think it's just been an easy way for journalists using very lazy journalism to be able to find a way to criticize Qatar, to criticize the World Cup here in Qatar. But it's something that we have worked harder because of. It's fueled our confidence, and all we have to do right now is just to show the world what an amazing World Cup this will be.
Nasser, what's your message for the fans who are still debating whether they're coming to the country or not?
My message to the fans is, you are welcome here. We're inviting all the fans to come and attend the World Cup, to enjoy the World Cup, to enjoy amazing weather, enjoy amazing beaches. Qatar is the safest country in the Middle East, one of the top countries in the world in terms of safety. Qatar is a welcoming and hospitable country, and we promise that it'll be an exciting and enjoyable World Cup. And everybody's welcome. We've always said we extend our arms in welcoming people to our home, and we look forward to hosting them here. And I think there's nothing that fans should be worried about. We encourage them, if they haven't got their tickets yet, they should visit the FIFA ticketing website. There's still tickets that are going to be put onto the website. Book their flights, book their accommodation, and come and enjoy an amazing World Cup.
And your message to the LGBT community who still have concerns about coming to Doha or to Qatar in general?
I extend the welcome of the Qatari people to everybody that wants to come and enjoy the World Cup. And again, I reiterate the message of Qatar being a safe country, a hospitable country, and I am confident that anybody that comes to Qatar is going to feel welcome and safe.
The LGBTQ issue is a very important one, but do you think it was over-focused?
It is an issue that is something that the world is dealing with right now. It's a social issue that is being tackled worldwide right now. Everybody has the rights to their own opinions. Everybody has the right to stand for a movement or to stand for an opinion. However, when it comes to Qatar, we're talking about a football World Cup. We're talking about a sporting event. This is about an event for elite players competing for the World Cup trophy. And I think that the sporting event should be a sporting event and people should enjoy the sport. There's other platforms, there's other mediums, there's other organizations that discuss this and discuss various issues around the world, whether it's on the environment, whether it's on social issues, whether it's on political issues. All we're saying is that this is the World Cup and this is a sporting event, that this should be the place for sport and for people to enjoy the sport.
What's your comment on the players who have said that they're going to be wearing the rainbow armband during the matches?
This is a competition matter, and competition matters are solely the right and responsibility and fall under the jurisdiction of FIFA. And this is something that I know that FIFA is having discussions with various federations and various confederations, and I know that these discussions have been ongoing.
Let's go to alcohol. You've made an announcement about people who are drunk, they'll be handled in a certain way. Like, could you tell us more about that?
No, I think it's not an announcement. I think this is a World Cup and this is an event. We are expecting a lot of people from all over the world, different cultures, different norms, and we have to be accommodating and we have to be welcome. I mean, as long as people are behaving in a way that doesn't cause harm to themselves, doesn't cause harm to others. There's no destruction of property, whether private or public, and people are generally, in good form, then there shouldn't be an issue at all.
Nasser, have you changed your crowd management plan at following the tragedy that happened in Indonesia?
Our plans have been put in place, taking into consideration best practice. We have been attending events as observers. We have had several programs where people have worked in international events all over the world, whether that be previous World Cups, whether that's been in the Euros, whether that's been in Olympics. We work hand in hand with FIFA. We are confident with the plans that we have in place. Safety and security for us is of the utmost importance, and we're confident that our plans are the right plans.
Are you confident you're going to have enough place to accommodate all these fans?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've been running models for over 7 years with different scenarios, with different assumptions. We are confident of the rooms required. We have provided these rooms, whether they are in hotels, whether they're in apartments, whether they're in cruise ships, whether they're in fan villages. We have suitable accommodation for all budgets and for all the fans that will be attending the World Cup. We have no issues with providing suitable accommodation for the fans.
What about the ticket sales? How many tickets have you sold so far?
So far we've sold almost 3 million tickets, 2.98 million to be precise. Tickets are always going back onto the platform. Fans are able to also put tickets onto the resale platform. So we encourage people to keep going back to the FIFA ticketing website if they're still interested in attending the World Cup. If they haven't been lucky in getting a ticket in the past, they should continue going onto the FIFA ticketing website, and hopefully they'll be lucky and get a ticket that they want.
Nasser, for example, what happens if there are delays to the match day, like shuttle flights, and thousands of people potentially end up missing their matches or their game?
Look, there's always a possibility, but that could happen anywhere. We are confident that as a whole and in general, people will not be missing their game. So we just want to make sure that fans that are coming here on shuttle flights, to make sure that they're here way in advance of the match. They need to understand that this is the World Cup. This is the most demanding sporting event in the world. There's a lot of interest. The stadiums are big. The smallest ones have a capacity of 40,000 people. Up to 80,000. So people need to make sure that they're here well in time to make it to their games.
A lot of people have perceptions of or ideas about the Middle East. Do you think the World Cup is a chance to change that?
Absolutely. This World Cup is a festival of football. It's a festival of people getting to know each other, of coming from all sorts of walks of life, from across the globe, to get to know each other. Whatever perceptions you may have, this is human nature. Everybody has perceptions, everybody has biases, everybody has standard things that they believe, and then when they go and they see it in reality, they change their mind. For people who haven't visited the region, who might have a certain perception, they will come here and they will realize that either their perceptions are correct, either they're different than what they perceived. If I know where you're getting to, if people have negative perceptions of the region, they're going to come here and they're going to be in for a big surprise, and they'll be very impressed.
What are the COVID requirements for the World Cup?
So Qatar, the health authorities have issued a health guideline, travel policies, and what we urge people to do is to keep themselves updated. Obviously, COVID is not 100% behind us. Right now we're aiming for a World Cup without COVID restrictions. There might be a few COVID restrictions because we don't know what's going to happen in 30 days. Some things could change and we could see restrictions coming in. However, for now we're looking at a World Cup which, let's say, quote unquote, we call a normal World Cup, where fans will be able to enjoy a sporting event as if it was pre-COVID times.
Of course, the past 3 years have been a little bit challenging with COVID. How do you think it affected the preparations for the World Cup?
There were some delays because of COVID early on, but we were able to make up time, and we have been on schedule, and we've completed all our infrastructure work on time, and we will be ready for the World Cup in around 30 days.
The country has changed significantly since winning the rights in 2010. What is the change that you're mostly proud of?
Big question. There's a lot of changes that have taken place, whether that's on the sustainability push. We're very proud of the work that we've done on sustainability. The concept of legacy is right now ingrained in the people of Qatar. Looking at the legacy of programs, looking at legacy of physical assets. We will be inaugurating the first solar power generation plant in Qatar, which was a commitment that we have put in our bid back in 2009. That's something I'm immensely proud of. Qatar is going to be working towards having a big percentage of the requirement of power of Qatar coming from solar energy. So this is the first step towards that. I know that also in a year there will be another solar power plant that will come into the pipeline, and then following that, I believe that by 2030 Qatar wants to have a huge chunk of their requirement coming from solar power.
How about your national team? Are you proud of your national team? And also, how important is it for the atmosphere that the host nation team will do well?
It's first, to answer your question, am I proud of the national team? Yes, I'm very proud. They've been doing extremely well, winning the Asian Cup. They've participated in the Gold Cup in the US. They made it to the semifinals. They did extremely well there. They've had a very good preparation over the past few months. The Qatar Football Association has put in a lot of effort in preparing the team, so now it's left to them to really shine on the pitch. And look, I think it's important, you know. The national team of a host country always gets a lot of sympathy from the fans of all the other teams. They get a lot of cheering from the fans of the other teams. And it goes a long way in improving the atmosphere of the World Cup. So we hope the best. They make it as far as possible. And we're confident in our boys.
Nasser, if we were to have this conversation in 5 or 10 years' time, what will football in Qatar look like, and how do you think Qatar will remember its own World Cup?
Well, first we need to congratulate Qatar on winning the rights to host the Asian Cup 2023. So Qatar is going to be embarking on another football adventure, hosting the teams from the Asian Confederation. It's a big tournament as well. Football is in the DNA of Qatar, and I wouldn't be surprised that, you know, decades from now Qatar will aim to host the World Cup again. Look, it's going to be a moment, it's a milestone in the history of Qatar, and it'll be a time that people will remember fondly. Children growing up in this time period are going to remember growing up when Qatar was gearing up and while it hosted the World Cup. So it'll be a memorable moment in the memory of generations.
The Arab Cup was the last test before the World Cup, so what did we learn from it?
The Arab Cup was a really beneficial event for us. It was our main test event, and 22 teams, 16 qualified to the finals, and it was important because we needed to test 4 matches a day here in Qatar, which we were able to do successfully, and that probably was one of the biggest challenges that we wanted to test. So that's a key learning from there is basically that, you know, the plans that we put in place for 4 matches a day are good. We had to make a lot of changes in terms of access to the stadiums. We realized that we had to make some changes because on paper plans usually they might look good and they might look right, but then actually practically when you test them on the ground, you realize you need to make some changes. Hayya card was also tested significantly in the Arab Cup, which has led us to our current form of Hayya card, which we're happy to say is quite efficient. It's quite easy to apply for a Hayya card. Hayya card is the access device to Qatar. Hayya card, it could be a digital app on your phone, it could be a physical card. It's your choice whether you want to have it as both digital and physical, but it's not only an entry pass to Qatar, basically it's your one-stop shop for every service that you may need during your stay here in Qatar, whether it's common numbers, emergency numbers, where if you want to go eat somewhere, your directions to get from point A to point B, what's happening on any given day here in Qatar, your match schedule, you can access the FIFA ticketing website through Hayya. So really fans will find that Hayya card really gives them all the information that they need. So it's your travel guide. it also gives you access, it also is a requirement to access the stadiums.
How many applicants have you had so far on international and residents?
So we have around 1.5 million applicants so far between residents and international, and the number has been increasing significantly now since the last minute sales process has kicked off, and you know, getting closer to the tournament, everybody now is finalizing all their plans, and we're seeing that the numbers are increasing on a day-to-day basis.
We've seen like the Lusail Super Cup lately, and we've seen like the influx of fans, especially our neighbors, and that was just a club, and it was nearly 30,000 Saudis and 77,000 in that event. How are you going to be able to handle all of that?
It's exciting. I mean, look, the largest event prior to the Lusail Test event that happened on the 9th of September was Al Bayt Stadium during the Arab Cup, and we reached 60+ thousand in that event. Here we hosted 77,000. Obviously Lusail was the first time we test that venue at that capacity. Again, there were very important learnings from the Lusail Test event. We are going to test Lusail one more time, just to make sure, because it will be hosting the final. It's an important venue. It's hosting some very big matches, so we will be testing Lusail again. But overall, with some of the issues that need to be looked into with Lusail, it was overall a very successful event.
For you personally, what will it mean for you when the first World Cup visiting team lands here in Qatar, and I believe that's the 7th of November, Japan?
Correct. So many people speak about the first day of the World Cup being the day of the first match. For us, actually, the first day is when the first team arrives. So I keep correcting people when they say, you're ready, you know, there's about 30 days to go. I tell them, no, actually, it's a lot earlier than that. But, you know, we're in operations mode already. You know, look, I think for me, it's a special thing. You know, there's a handful of us that have been working on this project, that are still working on this project from around 13 years ago. So, you know, when something like this happens, it is a milestone in the World Cup. But yeah, I think it's going to be a special moment.
Nasser, you spent a long time organizing all of this, but I want to speak to you. What is it you're really looking forward to in this World Cup as a fan, as a football fan?
As a football fan, it's going to be challenging for me to answer it, Sana. I want to see good football, for sure. I mean, everything that a fan remembers at the end of the day is how good the football was from a technical perspective. Now, I'm hoping that this tournament is taking place in the middle of the season. The players are fresh. Players are in better form than they would be usually in the summer after a full season of games. So first and foremost, that's what I want to see. I want personally for the tournament Qatar to go as far as possible in the tournament, and I want it to be a memorable tournament. We have some iconic players that, you know, have made the statement that this will be their last World Cup. Messi, Ronaldo have said that this is their last World Cup. So this is going to be memorable for them and memorable for their tens of millions of fans that are going to be watching them, whether from here in Qatar or on the TV. So there's a lot of special elements of this World Cup.
What would success look like for you at the end of the tournament?
Success is different for everybody. You know, success for the fan will be how well their teams do, how much fun that they had here, their experiences. For me, success is seeing the plans that we as a country envisaged coming to life, seeing people with genuine smiles and laughs on their face, seeing tears when fans see their teams lose or their teams get disqualified. Really looking at the celebration of football here in Qatar for the very first time in the Middle East, seeing pride and joy in the faces of the residents of Qatar and the people of the Middle East, and people to come here and say, you know what, that was a really good World Cup, and we're glad we went. That would mean success for me.
Nasser al-Khater, CEO of FIFA Qatar 2022 World Cup. Thank you very much for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you, Sana. Appreciate it.